Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Naughty Neighbours. First up we have, let me just make sure it's not anonymous, no, not that one. Escalating Next Door Neighbours by Missed Call 504. We live in a close-knit community of neighbours, which was all new to me. I grew up on over 100 acres and then moved and married a man that lived in the suburbs, and we bought what was our dream house. It was a shock, the closeness of people. Ugh, awful, aren't they? And some people coming in and out of my house uninvited. I think those are intruders, I believe that's what that's called. My husband blew it off and said, "It's how it is around here." Well, that can change. We had a young couple that kinda imposed themselves on us. But at the time it was hard to tell because I was working 13 to 15-hour days at a hospital and moving up the career path, whereas my husband had a family business that he was set to work for, so needless to say, we had our priorities and were past the party stage. We would play bunco, my husband would go on golfing trips, and we were the house to come to on the weekend because we had a pool. Yes, this was taxing, but some of our other friends would take turns inviting us over, but not our neighbours. Moving into a new town, everyone has a clean slate with me, and I have to trust my gut on this great guy and couple or not I want to be around. We noticed the male neighbour throwing away daiquiri cups in our trash, and then watched numerous times as he saw his wife coming down the road, and he would throw beer cans into the azalea bushes we had. We confronted him about this, and he picked them up, but lo and behold, he decided to start drinking the same beer as my husband, so he could blame the cans on him. By the way, he already had an extensive history of drinking and driving from the age of like 16, and the wife was dating him since then. We tried to play nice, just ignore them. If we had a pool party, they wouldn't ask to come over. They did come over. It didn't matter if I had said, because he was getting drunk and sexually harassing me, "Don't come over, stay away." But get this, I'm still in shock it happened at least 3 times. They came over, put the kids in the pool, and one was a baby and a floater, and they left and didn't answer their phones. That sounds like child abandonment, call CPS. Supposedly the person watching them and his 3-year-old passed out from some kind of drug use, and just when I was going to call 911, he woke up. So you think this is right? Nope. To this day, they find ways to screw with us and make us miserable. They have violated HOA laws. They haven't turned into the government how much they've upgraded their house after Ida. So that tax is not accurate. They ignored the HOA and built their porch 6 feet above the wooden fence so they have a clear view of what we're doing. They have altered the drainage where days after it rains, it sits, and you can see the timeline of the water erosion and the cracks forming in the driveway. Now wait, before you comment, do you know how many times I've reached out for help? Initially, the neighbour barging into the laundry room door when I was trying to change my scrubs. Every day I kept saying stop, don't do that, etc., and finally screaming and yelling. Then there was all the grooming he was doing to me. "You look so pretty, let's take a pic, you've lost weight, you look great, is that a new shirt?" I mean, seriously, my husband doesn't say stuff like that. I wasn't flattered, I was scared. I told him to stop firmly, and that only my humans should be responsible for saying that. Fast forward to 4th of July years ago. Everyone is asleep, and he hits me with, "Want to have sex in my truck." I lost it. I woke up Kyle and I was like, I don't feel safe, he has guns, he's creepy. And I keep getting the same words from everyone. That he's just joking, that's who he is. Well, who he is a creep. I sat down with his wife and told her I needed her help to get him to stop coming in any door in my house, and that he had made a point of seeing me naked. And she said, he thinks of y'all as extended family, and that your house and our house are the same. Is he paying your property taxes? Is that what's happening? Don't think so. After this bizarre statement, I told her I had a right to privacy and boundaries, and they better get on board with that and leave me alone. Needless to say, this is a family that love the drama. It's been one thing after another. I told the man that he was not to come near me, and that he was not invited into our yard. My husband backed me up. He was drunk and throws out a sexual comment to me while I'm gardening and tries to talk to my husband, who is weeding, and ignore him. The cops came and chastised him and said, "You need to cover your house with cameras." One thing was, the officer reached out to detectives because I talked about how I don't go outside a lot for the past 3 months. Every time had him barking at me like a dog, cussing me, using the fence for cover, like that's cover, and saying my husband was screwing other people. Today he still yells things inappropriate for my child to hear. "Your daddy is effing so-and-so," and has started making whale noises. To top it off, we got a better security camera system than him, and he has put up IR lights. And if this is a thing, let me know. He has like a Wi-Fi scrambler. They aren't rich, but anything to be sleazy. The neighbor is a functioning alcoholic. He drives around all the time. I can never quite get the police to where he is, which sucks. And the rumors are spreading he is selling more than weed. Please put positive responses. Say live and let live, but he will not leave us alone. And his wife is in on it too. Has his child screaming "I'm a bad person," and they take off running. It's just unreal unless you saw with your eyes what's going on from a third-party view. Comments, suggestions, and help are appreciated, and he keeps saying he's going to sue us, but it's a scare tactic. He has no grounds. Detectives have commented that this may be a stalker case, because he seems to go after me the most. Kinda afraid, but trying to see what's gonna happen. I'm reluctant to say this to anyone. Oh, hang on. Okay, there's an update here. Okay. Recent incident, August 17th, 2025. While babysitting a neighbor's autistic child, I slipped on rotting fruit that my neighbors and their kids had been throwing over our fence. I had recently finished physical therapy for a leg I broke the year before, and this fall re-broke my leg. While firefighters were helping me, the male neighbor screamed at me, shook the fence, and told them not to call police. I have this on video. He and his wife were also overheard telling first responders that I was on drugs and faking a stroke. A few days later, their 5-year-old was caught on camera testing our fence line, and the father trespassed again, cussing me out while I was on my property. I showed the police the footage. They said it's escalating, and that I should file for a restraining order right away. I really hope you have. Since then, they've thrown cooking oil and other items onto our driveway, continued yelling and making noises, sent their kids to repeat messages to mine, told other neighbors they are trying to drive us out. Are they so delusional to think if you were to leave and sell the house that the next neighbors would put up with their nonsense? The police have visited several times and said I need to get a restraining order on file for any future incidents. You definitely should get a restraining order. You would be able to work that out with a lawyer as to what kind you should get. And I don't usually encourage this, but as you are in the States and it is legal, if you don't have a sidearm in your home, locked away in a safe of course, get one. Just so you have it there in case you need it. Alright, story number 2 today. I have to be careful not to hold the mug too long or I'll become one of those YouTubers I make fun of. Hey guys. I really didn't want to have to make this video. I thought I was done talking about this. Anyway. Story number 2. Are my neighbors being petty, or am I just looking into it too much? How do I deal with this situation? By Koala Crazy 123. We bought our house 3 years ago. The first 2 years we gutted the house so there was no one living there. While doing up the house, the neighbors 2 doors down from us would always give us odd looks, especially the wife and daughter. When we first moved in, the husband kicked our door and asked if they could use our garden. We have a lane access to the street to take all their rubbish out while they were having it done. We agreed. They left loads of stones and rubbish in our garden, but we didn't care at the time, as our garden was already a mess. I had strangers in my garden every day, and they would go into our garden and use our lane without permission when we weren't there. We never had a thank you from any of them, but we just forgot about it and thought, whatever. The ones who live next door to them, 3 doors down from us, also have a lane access, so I always wondered why they didn't ask them. Surely it's easier to go through just one garden instead of 2. Since this time, so just over a year, they have never spoken to us since. Still get looks from the wife and daughter. The husband seems very quiet and sheepish. I have taken in a parcel for them, and they've turned away parcels for our house. Lesson learned. But the thing that annoys me the most, they have 2 huge cars and their daughter also has a car. They have a sign in their window that says disabled parking. Not a badge, but a printed out sign. So inside the house? I haven't seen any badge in their car window either. Apparently the husband was unwell during COVID, and this is why they have it. They keep parking their massive car outside my house, on the curb due to the narrow street. I literally can just about squeeze past to get into my house. If I had a pram, I wouldn't be able to get it out of my front door. I'm constantly finding rubbish and empty packets outside my house after they park there. I wasn't annoyed at first, but this one particular day, the wife parks her gigantic car outside our house, and the husband parked his outside another neighbor's house. So the only free space was the one outside of theirs, which they were not even using. So I parked there instead of walking from a street away. I go back an hour later and find they have put rubbish bags all around my car. I couldn't go forward or back, so I had to move all the bags to get out of the space and place them directly on their doorstep. Ever since this, they seem to park outside our house constantly. Have them towed. As if it's some sort of middle finger to us. If there's free spaces all in the street, they will still park there. If they are parked in another space and we move, they will go out and move the car outside our house. I don't understand why they're doing this. Because they're the kings and queens of the world, and you said no to them. They don't seem to use the space outside theirs, which is apparently disabled parking for them. Maybe in their minds that means it's not usable as a parking space. The husband is never the one to park there either. The wife always parks outside their house, so I don't seem to understand how this is helping him. Fun fact, if they do legitimately have a disabled parking placard, the thing you'd put in the window, she wouldn't be able to use that if he's not in the car with her anyway. Am I being petty, or are they? It's definitely them. No, it's certainly not you. I'm sure that you're meant to reapply for a disabled pass every few years, and I have a feeling that they don't even have a valid disabled parking pass, and that they just have one printed out. There'll be a governing body you can call to get that checked. I feel like they have been rude from the get-go, even though we have helped them. They have gone out of their way time and time again to do little childish things. For context, we're in our 20s, they're in their 40s or even older. Apparently a few neighbours don't like the wife and have had issues with her. What do I do from here, and how do I find out if they even have a valid disabled badge? Well, like I say, there will be a governing body you can have check that, so I'd definitely look into that. And just have the car towed every time they're parking in front of your house. If they're preventing access to your home... put the mug down. Access to your home... Fuck 'em. Anyway, next story, Anonymous, by Dogs Off Leash, always. Before I begin, this may be more of a rant than anything. That's okay, that's kind of what we do here. We have this neighbour who lives just around the corner from us, who always has his dogs off-leash in public. He has a small one and a big one. I'll bet he has a small one. It is like clockwork. Now that we have started paying attention, and he takes his 2 dogs out at 7 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. for walks every day. He lives right across the street from a popular park, and his dogs will now sort of wander across the road at will as he casually follows minutes later. The first instance happened when we were taking our dog for a walk when she was quite young, and these dogs came running across the street out of nowhere with no owner in sight. Our dog is well behaved, but will match other dogs' energy if they're acting out. So naturally, as this tiny yappy dog came running towards us barking, our dog started freaking out. We got ours under control while the tiny dog was perched up on my leg barking at me. I think you need to learn how to punt a dog. Obviously, I'm not saying really kick the dog, but it was all I could do not to kick this dog off me, but I refrained because this would have been my fault, of course. It would have been the owner's fault. Maybe we punt the owner. Then, as we came back here and the big dog came around the corner, still no owner in sight, crossed the street from the park and came up to us. The big dog was older and friendly, mind you, but he was still getting way too close to our dog, forcing me to grab his collar and sort of direct him away. Now the owner comes walking around the corner into view, and I say, "Are these your dogs?" He then just casually walks over with no facial change and takes the dogs and oh, I know the kind of freak you're talking about. I was attacked nearly by a dog last year. Yes, it was last year. I was walking home. I had some grocery bags in my hand, and this dog chasing after me. And the thing went for me. It actually made contact. And the owner just, "Oh, no, don't behave." Then walks on. So I just stand there, staring at him. He keeps looking back, and then he realizes, "Oh, sorry." I swear to God, we really should put some owners down. Kidding, of course, kidding. I say something along the lines of, keep your dogs on a leash. They can't just be going up to people and crossing the street at will. Anyway, life goes on, and we avoid that street for walks now. I still have to drive that road, though, so I have picked up on his routine, 7 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. every day. I have also seen him entering his house, so I know the address. Several of our neighbors have mentioned him in conversation, and it is a well-known fact that this guy is irresponsible and just an all-round a-hole. Today, I was driving to the store to get groceries, and as I'm passing to that area, the small dog runs out onto the road from behind a garbage can on a sidewalk. I must have went from 50 km to stopped in about 1 second. My tires screeched, and this dog was under my car. I didn't hit the dog, but I was so mad. Quite frankly, even if you had hit the dog, it wouldn't have been your fault. In fact, what I recall is if a dog does run out in front of your car, I don't know what the laws are like where you live, but you're generally encouraged just to hit the thing because slamming on your brakes to stop could cause a traffic accident. I rolled down the window and looked for the owner. He eventually comes into view. I yell and say, "Keep your dog on a leash, they can't run into traffic like this," or something similar. He just looks at me with this blank stare and waves me along. Like everything is fine. Your dog almost just died, and left a cranberry stain on the road. But I will just carry on. I went to call bylaw in our area, but by the time I got back they were closed 4:30, so I will try calling tomorrow. Is this what you would do in this situation? Has this happened to you or something similar? I just can't handle this guy. Already we have stopped going to the park because of him, and now I'm seriously not wanting to drive that road ever again. I just know his ignorance is affecting neighbors, and even worse is putting innocent dogs at risk. Like, I would not be shocked at all if one of them was just flattened on the road next time I drive by, and it will be the owner's fault. I hate having to deal with crap like this, but I really feel like I have to. I mean, really, I would just call the authorities. He's clearly not keeping his dogs under control. Might help if you have a dash cam in your car. I don't know if you do. You know, if anything like that happens again, you'll be able to see the dog running out unleashed without an owner. And the owner coming, strolling along, not caring, would definitely help you if you have to report it. But even then, I just report the owner for essentially mistreating his dogs, because, like you said, they are going to get hurt eventually. It's only a matter of time if they're just running around all willy-nilly. It's not fair on the dogs. I know we all try not to be mad at badly behaved dogs, because it's the owner's job to train them, and that's fair, and they've clearly not been properly trained. So, we should report them. Definitely always report these people. And put all 3 of them on a leash. So, you should definitely report them. And the 4th story today is Neighbour Steals Fruit Trees with a Tape Measure and Pettiness by A Piece of Len's Mind. My neighbour, 75 and female, Fruit Tree Fiona, is a ripe old bitch. These 4 fruit trees have been on my side of the fence for 20 plus years, 3 owners before I enjoyed them. Her late husband was cool with it. Everyone was happy, trees made fruit, life was good. Then Fiona gets a new boyfriend, contractor Craig, and suddenly decides that after 2 decades she needs to correct the fence line. Not because it's broken, not because she needs space, she has 7 acres. Because she looked at my finally fruiting this year trees and thought, technically these trees are mine, so I will take. The 6-month torture, starting in April every few weeks. And starting tomorrow. Cool, where exactly? Can I see the survey? Silence. This went on for months. I'd ask basic questions and she'd vanish, then claim she doesn't know how to text back or email. Yeah, right. Or, I don't know why I'm not getting your text. Bullcrap. Also, I'm pretty sure California has a good fence neighbor law. She couldn't care less. August, she files a Connor record, basically a surveyor saying, yep, that old marker from 1985 is still there, without checking if it's actually right. Now she's building a fence that grabs all 4 of my trees, carves out a weird rectangle that doesn't match any of her fence lines, leaves the other 99% of her property exactly where it's been for decades. You need to get yourself a survey done. I finally reach her, had to call from my work number because she blocked me, and ask for the fence details so we can redo our irrigation under the trees because I'm not watering her plants. And didn't give a flying fuck. So not sure how I'll get in there now. I also mentioned the trees were part of why we bought the house. Her responding nothing but, sounds like you got duped. By you, Fiona. By you. This is the same woman who owes me $200 for shared driveway maintenance, owes another neighbor $200, claims she can't afford it as a poor old woman, takes luxury vacations every other month and lets us know, just got back from Europe, Tahoe, Disney World, is currently funding the fence build, throws packages around on our shared driveway to hide them, opens packages that are not hers and goes, whoops. You might be able to get her with the law depending on what kind of packages they are. She had a cat that just died at our house because she refused to take it to the vet. I want it to die in my pasture, lady. She's at our back door looking for food and care. So do I, 1, get my own survey? Essentially, yeah, that is the best solution. Then you'll know either way. If her 40-year-old marker is off by even 6 inches, I'm framing it and hanging it in my window facing her house. But I don't have the money for this. $3,000 plus. 2 small claims court for the driveway money. Your Honor, she claims poverty, but built a spite fence to steal fruit. 3, adverse possession. 20 years of use in California. Probably won't work, but I want her sweating. I don't know, Amelia, you say it has been 20 years. I wonder if that would apply here. You're the one who's been maintaining it. You're the one who's been using it. She might essentially have just given up the rights to that land, assuming that it is on her property. I mean, for all we know, you get a survey done, it could go much the other way. She could be using some of your land. 4, the long game. When those trees need trimming and branches hang over my side of the new fence. Asymmetrical haircuts, everyone, at 6 a.m. with a loud chainsaw. I mean, I'd just cut the trees down now before it's on her side of the fence. Aggressive leaf collection. Any leaves that blow onto my side, I'm collecting them. Saturday mornings, loudest leaf blower I can find. So, fence is going up now. My trees that I've watered and pruned for years are suddenly hers. I've documented everything. Photos, videos, timeline. Called the county surveyor, didn't care. Enforcement officer, only if she breaks something, she broke your heart. The actual surveyor, not their problem, and a friend of hers. That sounds like it needs reporting. And now debating hiring a property attorney. We'll see. So, since no one cares, hit me with your pettiest but legal revenge ideas. Edit for context. There was a written agreement when we bought the house stating that the fences may not be right, but neighbor wouldn't want or care about the trees, so they are considered our property. That could be legally binding. She said she was going to move the fence. I asked for details, she didn't give them. That's why I'm thinking she's up to something. Only said, you can still keep your trees. So we left the trees and the above underground irrigation alone. Waited 48 hours until actual construction to let me know she's actually fencing my trees in and moving the fence on the property line, not offset. California law requires mutual agreement on property fences. There was none. I don't have money to spare, so I've just thrown up my hands and want to annoy her. Don't worry, I'll get over it. Although really, if you ever do have the money for that survey, I'd get one done. It's really weird that she's not willing to show you the documentation she has. Almost like she's lying. Because if she had proof, why not just show it to you? It would make you go away, right? But the legal course really is the best place. Unfortunately, it costs money. And the fifth and final story is Trap House Neighbours by TacoSay420. Tonight was wild and wanted to share for anyone else that gets a kick out of stories like these. So background, I'm in a multi-building complex. The building I'm in is the last one in the lineup, far back of the complex. And the door we use to access the building is facing a wooded area and is basically its own back alley area. My unit is bottom floor, closest to the exit door on the furthest side of the building. Lots of folks in here. Everyone minds their own business as hard as possible for the most part. There is a neighbor directly across the hallway from me, but there's also 20 units per floor and 3 floors to the building. I'm 99% sure the unit across the hall from me is a trap unit. I never see anyone coming or going from there. Quiet as can be for the most part. If I do see someone, it's usually an older Caucasian male who keeps to himself. And I very, very rarely see him. I also never hear that door open or close, which will be relevant later. And you can usually hear when the neighbors are coming home and whatnot. So either someone lives in there quietly and stays indoors for days or weeks at a time, or this person just pops in every once in a while, and does not actually live here primarily. Since the unit became occupied, there have been some weird moments where they are moving things in and out for hours in the middle of the night. Suspicious. It always involves a white girl and 2 black men, and not the guy I saw before. These additional people would always be fighting with each other, making threats with each other. It just seemed like nothing there was on the up and up. One pattern I noticed was that they only come around at the end of random months. Move a bunch of stuff in and out, only at night, and disappear again. Well, tonight it got weird. A whole new group of people showed up today, mostly younger black men with 1 older man, still not the guy I saw actually living there, but did see him with the night moving group. And for some reason they were slamming the door shut every time they left. I didn't think much of it at first, other than getting annoyed. All the unit doors here have a self-closing hinge, so they all sort of slam shut if you just let it close behind you. However, one person was actually pulling the door shut, and it was shaking the entire half of the building. First time it happened, I yelled, "What the hell happened?" Because I have 2 kids and my first thought was one of mine just straight up ran into our door at full force. But even they were scared because our whole unit just shook like someone was slammed against our door. I start to pay more attention, and there was someone leaving and entering that unit every 10 to 15 minutes, which is weird considering it's so quiet normally. After the fourth door slam in under an hour that shakes the entire building, I get bold as hell and step outside my unit to have words. When I step out, I see a young man with his jeans down around his butt, and he is shirtless with no shoes standing outside. It's 40 Fahrenheit in my area currently, so my first thought was this guy is clearly on drugs. I announced to the hallway quite loudly, "If this door slamming shit doesn't stop, I'm calling someone." Figured if they were up to some shenanigans, the last thing they want is eyes on their situation, and they'll either get it together. Door didn't slam once from that point on. Yeah, they're definitely up to something shady, but as long as they're quiet, I just leave them to it. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon page, which is linked down in the description. $1 or more a month, whatever you're comfortable supporting, gets you early access to all the videos on Monday. We like to do it pay what you feel around here. If you'd like to get some merchandise, there's a link to my merchandise store on Teespring, as well as my Discord and Threads. And should you need to contact me for any reason, that's kingofthecities@gmail.com, also in the description. If you need a birthday shout out, if you need to contact me for business inquiries, or you have a story you'd like to send. But that's us for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves. Bye bye.